Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 441, Error Card Edition Outrage over Errors this morning on Hobby Evolution. Good morning. Dan and George, good evening to you guys. Cancel Tops, cancel George. So today we're going to talk about the outrage over the Tops Now error card regarding the Atlanta Braves. A couple of small errors, in my opinion, small. Saying the Braves won in five. Oh my God, the outrage. They didn't win in 5 games. The Dusty Baker managing the team. Okay, I get it, but it's on the back of the freaking card. I don't get the outrage. So we're going to talk about it. What's up, Jenny? Good morning. So I want to talk about errors. Error cards used to be cool. Now we get annoyed. I don't know. Are we just out? We just need something to cancel, like George said. Do we need something to cancel every day? What's today going to be? We hit investing on cards for the 9 millionth time last week. What else did we hit? So what are we going to cancel today? Jenny brings up Bieber. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about errors. They used to be cool. Now we get outraged and we want Tops to burn because of a couple simple small errors on the back of a baseball card. So before we get into that, I just want to talk about yesterday. I listed about 150 more cards to my eBay store. Yesterday was kind of a mixed bag. A bunch of trouts, ton of trouts. Listed. Last night I was going through. So I've a customer at my Madison card show. Next one, by the way, January 29th. No December show. Same place, Sheraton Hotel. Year of 2022 is all booked up, contract signed. January 29th is the next show at the Sheraton on John Nolan Drive, Madison, Wisconsin. So one of my customers is looking for a 1985 Donruss, Ryan Sandberg. He gave me a stack of Cubs cards in return. I forgot to bring it at the last show. Now those are all Cubs cards behind me and on the floor, stacked up 5 feet high. And I have a Sandberg box, and I've been last night I was tearing my hair out trying to find an 85 Donruss Sandberg. I didn't last night, and there's probably 300 somewhere in there. But what I did find was a box of Cubs that I had picked up National and cards that I picked. And it was like, last night on eBay. So that was fun. That was a fun. That's why I like being disorganized, because sometimes it's like a treasure hunt. So I listed about 150 cards yesterday. So I'm up to 400 new listings this week. Goal today is today's my kind of a flex day. Today's I want at least 100 listed. But I've also got some shipments. Yesterday, my sales were way better. I know Jenny said she had a great Monday on eBay. My Monday kind of stunk, but Tuesday was really good for me yesterday. So hopefully that momentum carries over and we have a good Wednesday. So shipping today, and then probably I think more baseball is going to be loaded into my eBay store today. Let's talk Hall of Fame real quick because the ballots are rolling in. If you're not following not Mr. Tibbs on Twitter, please do so if you have any interest in the Hall of Fame. He's an excellent follow. He tracks all of the public Hall of Fame ballots. And I've talked about him here over the last week or so as ballots have rolled in. So I've got the tracker up. 23 ballots are public. I think we were at 23 public ballots a week ago last year. So we're a little behind on the public ballots. The only two players who are above 75% through 23 ballots, which is about 6%, is Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Their final ballot, this is their 10th and final year, 78.3% for both of those players. Now, that's good and that's bad. That's good because, hey, well, it depends on how you see it and how you look at Bonds and Clemens. I think they should both be in the Hall of Fame. So that's good because they're above the threshold. It's not good because um, we're through about 6% now. Most of the many of the private ballots do not vote for Bonds and Clemens. So uh, you also look at who has added or lost votes. So we can actually, I think there's a tab here. Oh, has the screen froze? No, it's just up. One of the windows is on the spreadsheet is frozen. So I'm trying to find, okay, gained votes from returning voters. Bonds and Clemens have zero gained votes, and let's see if they've lost any. So Bonds is actually -1, so he's actually lost a vote from somebody who voted for him last year. That's not good because Bonds and Clemens obviously did not get 75% last year, and they're not gaining any traction through the first 23 votes. So that trend continues, not going to make it. So that's the bad thing. So you need to see on these public ballots, and we don't know how the private ballots. We don't know how if anybody will add or subtract them, Bonds and Clemens. So those are the two above 75% through 6%. David Ortiz is right below the threshold. He's at 73.9%. Let's see. Curt Schilling on his final ballot, he's at 65.2%. Schilling has actually lost. He's -3. The prospects of Curt Schilling getting in are pretty nil, close to nil. Mark Burley for Dan, he is at 0% on his second ballot, so he's in danger of, and he's actually lost a vote from somebody who voted for him last year. So that is the Hall of Fame update. So thanks, Brad. What's up, Brad? Brad posted the link. That is done by not Mr. Tibbs, Ryan Thibodeau, who is the Hall of Fame ballot king. Yeah, and Jenny says Schilling can stay out, and I think he's losing so many votes because. And here's the thing: I get upset. I get outraged. I get upset when ballots change year over year, but then there are reasons why, and it's not statistically related. Now for Curt Schilling, he's like, don't put me on the ballot next year. So it's like, okay, you don't want to be on the ballot, we're not going to vote for you. And there's plenty of people that are Hall of Fame worthy on these ballots. So Omar Vizquel, he's in trouble for domestic violence, alleged domestic violence. So that's a quick way to lose votes as well. Let's see. So I'm going to go back to the chat before we get into the error card talk. Matt is with us. Good morning, Matt. Dan says cancel collecting Cubs. Absolutely not. We're not going to do that. George says, I think even worse than the outrage over the error was the outrage when Topps said they were going to correct it. Well, fortunately, I didn't read that. That's ridiculous. And I think I did see you or someone else did tweet something about, like, there's more outrage over the the correction. Let's see. Cancel Omicron. I totally agree with that. It's this variant. Now, I talked to one of my good friends who we play trivia with. He's a doctor, and not a doctor of economics. He's like a medical doctor. And he said that the Omicron variant at this point, it's actually good because it has a lower mortality, there's lower hospitalizations, whereas it's more transferable. What's the word I'm looking for? Contagious. It's not as bad as the Delta variant. So if Omicron comes in and takes over Delta as the primary variant, that's actually good. Because it's a lesser, there's less hospitalizations, less deaths. So no more COVID talk. Let's see. Wait, I thought that was your unsorted bulk. That's all Cubs. That is all Cubs. I moved. So Jenny, when the Card Life TV show came and recorded back in June, I like totally rearranged my card room. So even though there's boxes that say, like, I think there's one that says Terrell Davis. There's that one right above my finger says 80 tops or something. Those are all Cubs. That's all Cubs on those two shelves. And then right in between, I stuffed some 800 count boxes. And then right over my shoulder, right there, that whole stack. And then there's a stack over there. Those are all Cubs. Yeah, that's all Cubs. And all unsorted and just in a disarray. In fact, I opened one of the boxes I opened up. I pulled a Frank Chance Slab T206. It's like, oh hey, I forgot I bought this. And I got that at the Wisconsin Dells card show. Let's see. Another douche gave a blank ballot 2 years in a row. I hate blank ballots. Another egg got dropped by some dude today. The trend is moving. Ed says, good morning. What's up, Ed? Let's see. Schilling, he's a Hall of Famer in my heart. Talking about Mark Burley. Careful what you ask for. I'm holding out for the Omarosa variant. Let's talk about the outrage over tops. I know George wants to go to bed, and we're burying the lead here. Fall Creek is with us. Good morning. Schilling earned his numbers to get in the Hall of Fame. There are tons of D-bags in the Hall. Reasons are holding him out was personal until he said, take me off the ballot. I completely agree. Schilling was deserving on the field. A lot of people held grudges against him because he is kind of a dumbass. But hey, there's a lot of dumbasses. I'm sure there's a lot of dumbasses. I don't know any of them personally, but I'm sure there's a lot of dumbasses in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, now it's like, I dare you to not vote for me, to take me off the ballot. Okay, wish granted, Kurt. You're not on my ballot anymore. Error cards. They used to be cool. What happened? He is a poop head. What happened to error cards? Cool. Bobby Hundreds. Project, is it Project 70? Where are we at now? Project 2020. I get him confused. I stopped paying attention. I stopped buying the Cubs. Bobby Hundreds, I loved his error set. And I know you can say, well, he means to make these errors. Topps didn't mean to, or it was supposed to be a regular card without errors that they printed on Topps now erroneously. I would like to get Herman, being a Braves fan. I haven't seen him in the chat. I would like to get his thoughts on being a Braves fan, because I thought about this. So, and we're talking about the error this week on the Topps Now Atlanta Braves commemorating the World Series. It says they won in 5 games. They didn't. They won, what did it go, 6 games, 7? I can't remember. But it didn't go 5, which is what is on the back of the Topps Now card. They also said that the Braves were managed by Dusty Baker. He managed their opponent in the World Series, the Houston Astros. I thought about this. There's a lot of outrage. I thought about, okay, if I was a Braves fan, let's internalize this as being a Cubs card. If this happened in 2016, commemorating the Chicago Cubs World Series, and they said they won in 6 games instead of their Game 7 win, and who was Terry Francona was the manager, would I be outraged? I don't know. I don't think so. It was 5 years ago when the Cubs won a World Series. It was a lifetime ago, in baseball terms. Would have been upset, because frankly, I don't look at the back of cards, and I know I used to as a kid. I learned multiplication because of football cards. I knew that back in the day when extra points were like a 99.9% guarantee, and you almost all the time got 7 points per touchdown. I learned my multiplication, especially of sevens, because of football cards. And I learned, I studied baseball cards and football cards and basketball cards. And we would be at sleepovers and my friends would quiz me on, where did Tim Krumrie go to college? And I'd whip out wherever Tim Krumrie I don't know why that came to mind. I've had 89 Pro sit on my mind. So Cincinnati Bengals, Tim Krumrie. And so I used to love the back of cards. Now it's like just now I just but now I don't even know what cards I have. So would I be upset over an error like that? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. But I think there's more outrage than there should be. Um, so so the thing is, and for more on this topic, listen to watch last night's Hobby Hotline overtime. John Newman was on the show. Suze, who used to work at Tops, um, was on the show, and she provided some excellent takes on this particular subject. And Sam Shuford was on the show, and then Uncle Rich joined in, and Brad joined in at the end. So there was some really good discussion on this topic, especially from Suze. She brought up some great points. One of which we had some discussion in the chat as well. So you can go back and read the chat. So one point, and I have a journalism background, and I moonlit at a newspaper when I was working in the college athletics department. I would work nights, well, when I could, at the newspaper. And we had now this is a small town newspaper, so I was in the sports department. We had a sports department of two or three, and then some stringers, some freelancers, and we had a news department of like three writers, and we were all kind of in the back corner. And how often now, if you don't write, you probably can't relate to this, but if you've done any type of writing, especially if you've got newspaper writing or blogging, or just think of when you're in school, you're typing away, and all of a sudden there's a conversation at the desk next to you. And Scott, who is our sports editor, he's talking to another sports writer, and they're talking about the Bears game on Sunday, and they're talking about Justin Fields. And all of a sudden, Justin Fields is in my head, but I'm writing a story about high school girls basketball. Let's make it high school boys basketball since we're using Justin Fields as an example. Well, there may be on the Macomb Bombers basketball team, there may be a Justin Smith that plays, and all of a sudden I'm hearing this conversation over there, and Justin Fields I type in. Now, we're a small newspaper, and deadlines at newspapers really suck. So sometimes a game gets over at 9 p.m. Our deadline is 10 p.m. Um, we have to get quotes from a player, a coach. Now we have to put that story together, and we have like 30 minutes to do so, 40 minutes to do so. We're typing away, typing away. We're probably going mistakes because we're sitting in the car or at a McDonald's that because we need Wi-Fi to send the story out. And all of a sudden we're under the gun, and we file that story and send it off at 9:06 for a 10 p.m. deadline. Well, guess what? My editor doesn't have time to really go through each line and make sure I didn't put Justin Fields where Justin Smith should have been written. So Scott sends it off. He kind of gives it a quick whirl. Either he is putting it in the page designer, or he has to send it off to the design house, and it gets shipped off with little editorial. And there's outrage. Justin Smith's parents, they're outraged because Justin they that's not his name. So I get it. I get it from that standpoint where in we're not privy to what's going on inside Tops. And you can say, well, there's not a deadline on Tops now. They could have waited. We don't know that. What if there is print deadlines that the printer that they send these off to, I think it's in Florida, they send these off to Florida. Look at the printing. Look how many products are backlogged because of the printing delays. If they didn't get these to the printer at X time on X date, then we don't get the cards. So it becomes, well, do you want the card or not? Oh, they should have been edited. Well, there may not have been time to edit, or that mistake could have gotten by the editor. Maybe the editor wasn't privy, and he wasn't fact checking everything, because it does take time. So we're not privy to all of the inside details that there may not have been time to edit. They had to get these to the printers, otherwise they wouldn't have been printed. And guess what? You would have been getting your cards, your World Series 2021 cards in June of next year. Kind of seeing with Bowman First Edition, they probably missed a printing deadline, and now they're backed up. It's like, sorry, you missed your deadline. We're printing other stuff. Your First Edition Bowman has to wait. So we're not privy with the inside details. So let's talk about error cards. So that's just kind of my background in journalism, and that's one thing that can happen among many that can happen in why these error cards. Before I move on, let's go back into the chat. Yeah, also Herman is with us. What's up, Herman? Jenny says card backs matter. Yo, Herman, what's your opinion? Yeah, I would love to get Herman's thoughts on the Braves error card from Topps Now. Ed thinks, I think the outrage is tied more to Topps' recent body of work than this specific error. I would completely agree with that. There seems to be a lot more mistakes happening at Topps. I would completely agree with that assessment. It does seem, and I think probably this is my opinion. My opinion is a lot of these mistakes are happening because there's just so much going on, and we're in this crazy time, and there's these deadlines that are, shipping is a debacle. And I just know that from my experience in shipping, in transportation. So I think a lot of it is outside of, they can't really help that. Some things I think they can. But I just think it's the perfect storm of, we're now in the holiday season. There's a backlog, there's too many products and not enough printers. And there's just a lot of issues going on. And we have this announcement months ago about Fanatics taking over, and now on the surface it looks like, well, Topps gave up. That's what it looks like. I'm sure that's not the case, because Topps doesn't want to just throw in. Topps is still a business to make money. They don't want to suck on purpose and lose money and close. So they're not doing this on purpose. So I hope nobody thinks that. Brad says, Herman, that needs to be a Monday night topic. Dan was a journalism major as well, so Dan completely understands some of the ins and the outs of Austin Bieber, Dunkin' Donuts. Isn't there a saying the whole world is short-staffed? Be kind to the ones that showed up. Absolutely. Let's see. His name is Dalton, Roadhouse movie reference. My sister was in Sturgis, and two bartenders, people screaming for them to hurry up. No joke. One of the bartenders walked off the job and said, see how fast you get it now. I am just knowing, like, going back this summer to my small hometown and going to a couple of the local bars and restaurants. And it's like, they're open from one of the most popular bar restaurants in the neighboring town. They're only open like Fridays and Saturdays from like 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And they only serve pizza, and the bar's only open, during that time when they serve pizzas, because there's nobody to work. So it's just, and that's in a lot of it's like, well, some days they're open at 5, some days they're open at 7. Just depends on who works. Who's gonna, like Jenny said, who's gonna show up to work. So let's get back to error cards. So there's precedent for outrage over error cards, and George knows this from when he's going through the 55 Bowmans and I'm looking up players. I have a subscription to newspapers.com. I'm a total nerd. I love looking up just local history from my hometown. I love looking up baseball card history. I love looking up baseball history, Cubs history. I enjoy that, especially you get my background in newspapers and just what I like to kind of go back in time and what was it like in 1959, because that's where we're going with my first example. So the first like big error card Topps made was in 1959. It was Lou Burdett, 1959 Topps card, and he was a lefty. So Lou Burdett on his Topps card number 440 uh, is a right shows him as a right-handed pitcher with a glove on his right hand at the top of a left-handed windup. Okay, so I probably screwed that up. I'm just looking up. I had to Google it because I remember reading the story in a newspaper article, so I had to Google it. It's on Wikipedia. Anyway, it shows him whatever pitching hand he was. They showed him as the opposite, and it was a joke that Lou Burdett pulled on the Topps photographer. Topps had photographers back in the day. And that was Cy Berger. Like, it was a big deal. Like, it was like he's not, he pitches with the other hand. There was outrage in 1959 over this error, and it was in newspapers, and Cy Berger would comment, this isn't going to happen again. Like, it was a big deal. So the outrage over an error there's precedent for it. And then we go on, and now that's kind of a lesser known, especially today. But you go on to 1969 Topps. I think it was Aurelio Rodriguez, where it was a picture of the Bat Boy, and not the player. It was the Bat Boy on the card, the Angels in 69 Topps. You go to 85 Topps, Gary Pettis. It was actually his little brother in the dugout that was shown on the 85 Topps card. And then we go to Fleer in 1989. Can you imagine the outrage today? 89 Fleer Billy Ripken. If the F-bomb was written on the front of the card, I mean, we're outraged over we're outraged over 5 games instead of 6, and Dusty Baker managing the wrong team on the back of the card. Can you imagine if the F-bomb was written out? Little, I was 7 years old. Can you imagine if I pulled that card out of a pack and I showed my mom that the F-U-C-K was on the front of this baseball? I'd probably never be allowed to collect baseball cards again. But it's a cool card. Everybody was collecting it. Everybody wants it today. Oh my God, the F-face card. Oh, it's the greatest card ever. Frank Thomas 90 Topps, one of his cards didn't even have his damn name on it. It's one of the most valuable error cards today and most collected. And we're up in arms over Dusty Baker managing the Braves and them winning in 5 games instead of 6. What happened? Why are we always so outraged? Why do we hate Topps? Well, there's reasons. Error cards used to be cool. Now we're upset and we want to cancel Topps over a stupid, silly, small little error. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to go back to the chat. Jenny says, I think people just need to chill about baseball cards. This is baseball. This is baseball cards. We're talking about baseball cards. Holding out for the Ripken reprint. Jenny says people should consider what if tables turned. What if you made an error, wrote a wrong ship address, sent a wrong? Absolutely. I make errors every day. I make mistakes every day, and I'm sure you do too. I know you do. Every person watching makes one mistake a day, at least. And sometimes it's a little more pronounced. And yes, I know there in some instances we have to have safeguards. Forgetting to take the trash out, which I'm glad. Ooh, that must be subliminal because today is trash and recycling day. So after I get off here, I've got to take the trash out. What if I forgot to take the trash out? My wife comes downstairs and the garbage truck has already come by. You forgot to take the trash out and our recycle bin is completely full. You made an error and she's going to be outraged. But that's worse than Dusty Baker managing the Braves. What if error cards were serial numbers? Then they would be cool to them people. I listed a Josh Hader as a Jose Hader, not realizing till someone on Twitter told me. Yeah, I especially like when I'm listing football or basketball, and some people listen to this. And okay, Herman, I saw Herman post eBay story real quick because we and I need to go back. And I need to whip something up on this because I have not mentioned this. It was a week ago. In fact, I made 2 mistakes. Topps Archives. I opened up what did I open? I opened 2 blasters. I got a great hit. So in 2 blaster boxes, I pulled a Joe Carter autograph. I sold that for $20. I pulled two other cards that I didn't know were anything special on eBay. I had a Ted Williams emblem variation. Now the 91 tops, I don't think I have any next to me. Actually, I bet I do. Um okay, no, I don't think. Yep, here they are. Oh shoot, up here. Okay, so the emblem variation, and I don't have this because it did sell. Okay, here. So here's Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals. So on these cards, 91 design, I think. Um, well, the emblem is a take of the 91 tops design. So up there, it's the 140 years of baseball. So these are the 29 tops 2091 or whatever. So 140 years is what it's supposed to be for 2090 tops or whatever. So there's where it's what it is this year, 70 years. So I pulled a Ted Williams and his was 70. I didn't even look in the corner on the emblem. And it said 70 years. I listed it $1.50 in my eBay store, and I had somebody message me and they're like, "Hey, that's an emblem variation. It's worth a lot more than $1.50." Somebody sent me that message and didn't buy it. Can you believe that? They're still good. They're still good on eBay. So I looked it up. Damn right. Holy cow. He's correct. I look at the comps. I list it. I thank him. I relist it for 20 bucks. I get an offer of 15. Boom, sold. I had it sitting in my eBay store for, I don't know, 12 hours for $1.50. I had no idea it was an emblem variation. Somebody, out of the goodness of their heart, Merry Christmas. Hey, this is worth more than $1.50. This is an emblem variation. One that I didn't catch, that I didn't even realize it. I was going through some cards and I'm like, I'm gonna look at the variate because I had a Mike Trout and I'm like, Mike Trout always has variations. I only opened two blasters. I pulled one Mike Trout. I need to make sure that this isn't a short print or a variation. So I look, sure enough, because I remember packaging, I sold a Bo Bichette card for $1.50. And there's a variation where, and I looked as I was shipping, I'm like, well, this is weird. Bo Bichette it's a Bo Bichette card, but Dante Bichette's in the little circular box because it's an 83 design. Sure enough, that was the variation. I'm sure it's only a $2 or $3 card. I sold it for $1.50. I'm not gonna look to see what the comps are in case it is like a super short print. But anyway, those are mistakes. Fortunately, somebody caught one, let me know. The other one, somebody got a good deal on a short print Bo Bichette card. So we make mistakes, and that was at least two that particular day because I listed them at the same time. That particular day, I made two mistakes. We all made. Okay, let's go back to the chat. I saw Herman type in something. I realized that for the non seems trivial, but for the Braves excited to get their card, that it would be disappointing. I didn't get the card, so can't say a lot about it. Sorry, I'm driving, had to pull over. Well, Herman, thanks for your input. And I don't know if you caught because I tried to relate this back to 2016 when the Cubs won a World Series. And I'm so far removed from that 2016 World Series. I didn't even buy any Topps Now cards for the World Series. Topps Now just doesn't do it for me. So maybe I don't care because I don't really care about Topps Now cards. I have a few that I've actually bought from Topps. One because I was at the game. One because I was kind of buying foolishly Cubs cards back in, I think, 2018. I was buying a lot of the online stuff. That's the year I bought 9 Topps Living Javi Baez cards for some stupid reason. But I just kind of stay away. I buy some Topps now because I have like Topps. I finally signed up for the Topps points. But I try to think back in 2016, would I have been upset if they said the Cubs won in 6 games instead of 7? Or if Terry Francona managed the Cubs? I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, again, I'm so far removed from that time. I was just so excited that we won a World Series. Hadn't even been close. Well, I guess we were close a couple times in my lifetime, 2003 and in 1984, but I don't really remember 84 as I was 2 years old. So putting it into that perspective, being, a fan of the team, I get like, okay, I get upset, you know, annoyance, upset, but some of the outrage that I've seen on Twitter, uh, it's a little dramatic. Somebody in the chat last night was like, "It's beyond unacceptable." Come on, man. Come on. Good thing you corrected that. Otherwise, the comps would have been off. I kid. I kid. Yeah, yeah. And and that was you kid, but it's true. Somebody could say, well, here's two that sold. One sold for 20, one sold for 15, and one sold for $1.50. So where's it at? But still, I guess you kind of got to. But here's the thing: it wouldn't have been listed. It wasn't originally listed as an emblem variation because I didn't even know that variation existed. So I guess so. Then it would have been pooled with the others anyway. That's a comp. That's a comp story. Um, but we were all stupid in 2018 in the hobby. I bought all the tops now for like 6 months straight. Yeah. Yep. I bought everything on. I bought the Bryce Harper X set. I bought 9 Javi Baez living cards. I bought a few tops now. The David Bodie game because I was there. There was a Javi card that I bought, and then I think maybe one other. Herman says, okay, I agree with this. I'd be more upset about the Dusty Baker than the number of games. Definitely. Definitely. And that's just because I don't like Dusty Baker because of his managerial stint with the Cubs, the aforementioned 2003 team. George says, I also think so many folks on the outrage are trolls that need to stroll back down to the basement. I'm sure there's some of that. There's a lot of that. There's just a lot of like general negativity that people just project on Twitter. It's like, for whatever reason in their lives, they're unhappy and they're just going to take it out on, they're going to find a scapegoat, whether it's investing in cards or a tops now error or whatever comes in front of their face that they're upset about somebody's price on a card, da 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 da. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to vent my outrage over the outrage, and here I am. Who am I? Who am I? I'm complaining about outrage, and I'm outraging on the people being outraged. Steph Curry set the 3-point record last night. I've got some second year cards of Curry. I'm getting some not low ball offers, but lower offers than I'm willing to accept. I need another cup of coffee. I need to take the trash out. Don't need to make that mistake. Jenny says it's easy for people to just be negative, bullies on the internet, watch then not say nothing, standing in the Topps office, right? Exactly. Facebook trolls have made their way to Twitter. Yeah, Facebook used to be, oh man. And I stay out of some of the Facebook groups just because it's like, usually I just go for like my own entertainment. And like, I've got some card buddies here locally that we have a text string. And so I'll just screenshot like, oh my God, look at this. And it's like 99% Facebook. It's in Facebook groups. Fortunately, most of those trolls have stayed in Facebook groups, and there's not as much. There's not as much as Twitter. Bo stays in the basement. That's true. Although that's why I have an office upstairs, just so I don't turn into a basement troll, living in the basement. The entire my entire day and night. I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me outrage over the outrage. So today I'm going to be doing some shipping. I'll be listing some cards. What day is today? Today's Wednesday. Rest of the week, not much planned. I'd kind of thought about maybe going to Freeport on Saturday just to dig through, but I think I'm gonna hold off. I think I'm just gonna hold off buying in December, just to give me a chance to. I have enough inventory to list on my own that I'll just take December off from buying unless something just falls in my lap, and then focus on the first card show in January in Rockford. So Thanks for tuning in. It's Wednesday. Is Brad, are you going live this morning? If so, check his channel out, Texas Card Dude. I think he is. I think I saw the stream scheduled. So have a good Wednesday. Back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Hopefully there's no outrage today we can discuss. And we'll just talk cards. Brad is going live, so check him out on the Texas Card Dude channel. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll chat tomorrow.